Happy New Year. This is Michelle Missinelli. Welcome to the Jersey Chic Diet Winter Cleanse. I'm so excited that you're here with me, embarking on this journey. First, at the start of January 2021, I can't believe we're here. And so many of you, just like me, we're always looking to kind of renew, reinvent ourselves, detox from the year before in the new year. So I think this cleanse is going to serve you really well, just like it served me. It's the start of like the really, really cold months. As you can see, I got my cozy sweater on. I got my almond milk latte going on. And this cleanse is going to be challenging for sure, but it's also going to be nourishing and delicious, and it's going to feel good. And that's why I designed it that way. The winter time is a time that, hey Jadu, it's nice and quiet, okay? This cleanse is nourishing. It's going to feel good. I include real food. The winter time is a time when we're looking to shed old skin, but it's really hard to do that when we're starving ourselves, embarking on crash diets, doing juice fasts. Okay, juice fasts don't feel good in the winter time. Maybe in the spring and summer, I'll show you a little juice fasting, but now is not the time for juice fasting. Now is a time to nourish our bodies with some good, wholesome, whole foods that are oily and healthy and full of nutrients and vitamins and minerals. That's what our bodies need right now. And you're gonna get that through the magical soup and the celery juice and all of these nourishing dinners, but we also need to play a little bit, right? It's gotta feel good. So almond milk lattes are the way to go. What's awesome about almond milk lattes is that everyone's making them now. You can go to Starbucks and get one. You can go to Panera and get one. You can get them anywhere. So I'm going to show you my bomb biscotti recipe. Let's talk about the word biscotti for a second, okay? I'm from New Jersey. We say biscotti. I know that if you're fancy and, you know, have an Italian swag, you say biscotti, okay? You can do that if you want, but I'm going to say biscotti. My kids shorten it to scotties, okay? We're having scotties. You can hear my Jersey accent, okay? So I'm just going to dive right in. I'm going to show you how to make this so that you know what you're doing, okay? Because this is, I'm gonna say, a crucial part of the cleanse, because these are so healthy. They're grain-free, they're low in sugar. I only use pure maple syrup. And they take the edge off, okay? When you're doing a cleanse, even though I'm including delicious food, there's still gonna be an edge, okay? And this is gonna take the edge off. So I'm gonna start with you have the recipe in front of you. So I'm not gonna go into major detail. I'm just gonna show you how to make it. Here's the deal. I don't tolerate eggs anymore, so I don't use eggs. The recipe calls for 2 eggs, okay? I use an egg replacer. The egg replacer that I choose to use is flax meal, okay? This is flaxseed meal. It's Bob's Red Mill. It's awesome that you can substitute this even in meatballs. Use eggs in meatballs. You can substitute. If you don't want to use eggs, or you're trying to cut back on eggs, or if you don't tolerate them. I had some crazy blood tests that showed I don't tolerate eggs anymore. It's crazy. So I'm doing what I have to do. And this is a perfect substitution. It doesn't make things super dry or whatever. It makes them moist and delicious. So you're going to use, for each egg, use 1 tablespoon of this to 3 tablespoons of water, and then you let it sit, which it's been sitting for just a few minutes, and it's fine. So that is something that's awesome to have in your baking bin right now. It's a nice substitute. Okay, next I'm going to add the maple syrup. I only use pure maple syrup. This is 100% pure maple syrup. No Mrs. Butterworth's. I'm sorry, I love her, but we're not using that here. Okay, this is a cleanse. And maple syrup is just an awesome thing to add to your regular diet if you're starting to get away from sugar, refined white sugar, and all that jazz. So I'm going to add the 1/4 cup. I need a fork here so I can stir this up. So what I use when I'm mixing is I use this like big fork thing. I'm a minimalist. I don't have a lot of appliances. I don't have one of those fancy mixers that people keep on their countertops. I can't deal with it. So I don't own one of those. I'm gonna add the vanilla. I bake like I cook, which you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to really measure things. If you're into measuring exactly, do that. I just add a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You're supposed to add a teaspoon, a little bit more of vanilla extract, and a teaspoon of the almond extract. Okay. Next is the coconut oil. Hang on, I gotta get it. So when you get coconut oil, it's gonna be all solidified. It's gonna look like a candle, like a wax candle, okay? Don't use that. Don't use it solidified. That's gonna make everything really nasty. So what I do is I put the coconut oil in a little measuring tool like this that I can put on the stove, and I melt it down because it's got to be in melted form, okay? So I have my coconut oil, 1/3 of a cup. I'm going to add that in. I'm going to start whisking that up too. Okay. Next, I'm going to add my baking soda. Again, I bake like I cook. A little bit of cinnamon. I know there's an exact measurement. You could do that if you want. Doesn't matter. Pinch of salt. Okay, I only keep pink Himalayan salt in my house. I also keep pink Himalayan truffle salt in my house because it just is delicious. Okay, and now I'm gonna start adding my almond flour. Now, the almond flour that I get is from Aldi. I love my local Aldi because they're so good about gluten-free. They have awesome, like really good prices for gluten-free stuff. And almond flour, of course, is gluten-free. It's also grain-free because it's made of almonds, okay? You can get almond meal in whatever store. You can get it in Whole Foods. You can get it you can get it on Amazon, okay? And sometimes that's what I do because I make so many of these. I get a huge bag of this from Amazon. So this is 3.5 cups. Side note, you're not getting almond meal. You don't want ground up almonds. You want almond flour. You want it to be real fine like this, okay? So don't get almond meal, you're getting almond flour, okay? This stuff is expensive, all right? It costs money to look and feel your best. It costs money to be healthy. And I hate that it has to be that way. All the healthy stuff is super expensive. It's not out of the park, but you know, the bag that I get from Aldi is usually around $6.99. You know, it is what it is. We rather pay our money in good food rather than doctor bills. So that's what we do here. And you can see in the cleanse, I add a lot of supplements that you have to get, but let me tell you something, it's worth it. And those supplements fight against COVID, okay? So it's worth the investment, okay? It's starting to come together. I'm just mixing. I don't have a fancy mixer. I'm not fancy here, okay? We make things happen, okay? Next, I'm gonna add some walnuts. You could add whatever nuts you like. You know, I definitely promote eating raw nuts because they're healthier for you. But you're gonna put these in the oven anyway, so they're gonna bake up. So it really, that's all right. You're using roasted nuts for the biscotti. If you're like sitting down to a handful of nuts at nighttime, my nighttime nut love, you wanna get raw nuts, okay? And walnuts are a really, really great choice. They're high in omegas and vitamin E. Okay. Lemon, all right? I like to add a little bit of zest, whether it's a lemon or an orange, because it just brightens things up. For Christmas time, I did some lemon and rosemary. I added rosemary. When I'm not cleansing, I add chocolate. Even though chocolate is included in the cleanse, but you don't want to overdo it on chocolate. So I'm just zesting this. This is my zester. Just zesting, okay? You don't have to go crazy. You don't have to zest the whole thing, okay? Bang it to get everything off. Roll up my sleeves because I'm about to get down and dirty in this. Okay, so I'm just folding now because everything's pretty much incorporated. Show you what it looks like. I wish I had a studio here that could do one of those like Giada De Laurentiis cameras over my head so you could see everything. Okay, I'm gonna get my baking dish out that I lined with parchment paper. I hate that you can't see my little festive minimalist Christmas plant here, my holiday plant. I move all this stuff out of the way so I could show you. All right, so there's my plant. I'm gonna take all this out with my hands now, okay? I have clean hands, don't worry. I'm not gross, I wash my hands. But ladies, if you're a lady, pull back your hair when you're baking, okay? The most embarrassing thing is when someone takes a bite of something you made and a big hair comes out, okay? I don't have my hair completely pulled back, but it's a little bit pulled back, okay? I'm pulling out all of this dough. okay? And here it is. It's nice. You could tell because you want it to be doughy and moist, but you don't want it to be like liquidy. And whether you're using the egg replacer or the eggs, you're gonna get the same consistency each time, okay? I think that flax meal is really best. They sell egg replacers. Sorry, I'm getting a little clumsy here. But the flax meal is really the best, okay? So now I'm gonna turn it into a little bambino baby, okay? In the recipe, I recommend, in the ebook, I recommend turning it into 2 separate logs. Truthfully, you could just turn it into one big long log, but you gotta make it kind of skinny, okay? So I'm gonna start smushing this. I'm gonna turn it into a log, and I'll show you what it looks like. You're gonna have little pieces falling out along the way, okay? I'm gonna put it down, a log, okay? And there's a few steps to the whole baking process. It's kind of lengthy to make biscottis, but it's worth it because they're so good. So I just want you to note, in this whole recipe, we used 1/4 cup of maple syrup. That's it. That's probably less than you put on pancakes for yourself on a Saturday morning. And this is gonna last you all week. Unless you have kids, a husband, boyfriend, friends, whatever, coming over because they're gonna wanna eat these too. I'm gonna take this, you could see my log on the parchment paper. Looks good, right? Not too thick. And just the length of the baking dish. I'm gonna pop these in the oven at 350 for 30 minutes, and then I'll show you what happens after that. Oh. All right, so this is just out of the oven at 30 minutes. You could see it's golden browned. It's not super flimsy, but it's not super hard. So now we're just gonna let it cool. Have a nibble at it. So now I have to cut these into the biscotti cookies, okay? And I'm gonna start from the end. I'm gonna cut them and then I'm gonna start laying them on the baking sheet. So I'm gonna take this layer off. I have another piece of parchment here. Sure, buddy, give me a second, okay? I'm just gonna start slicing, okay? You know the end of the biscotti is always a good piece, all right? I'm cutting them, I don't know, I'm not good at measurements. They're not too thick, okay? You don't want them too thin, but you also don't want them too thick. And we're just gonna start slicing. You're gonna lay them on their side. And then halfway through the baking process. So these will probably go in for another half hour actually. It is a lengthy process, and halfway through that, I'm gonna flip them over. Just about there.
Question.
Yeah, what's your question?
Why are they called biscottis?
Why are they called biscottis? I don't know. We're gonna have to ask Alexa. Alexa, what does biscotti mean?
Biscotti is a form of the noun biscotto, which is usually defined as a cookie or cracker.
Aha. So, although I have Italian roots, I don't speak Italian. And Alexa just told us that biscotto is a kind of crunchy cookie. And that's where the word biscotti comes from. Good question, Ken. That's my boy. All right, so these are gonna go back into the oven. And like I said, I'm gonna flip them halfway through using oven mitts, of course. So these have been in the oven for about 30 minutes. I flipped them halfway. The color is absolutely perfect. They're nice and crunchy. The soft middle got nice and hard and crunchy. They are going to be so good with my latte. So here we go. They're crunchy, they're delicious. Oh my gosh. They're the best. You're gonna love them. Not super sweet. So good.